Alright, so we're in lesson 7, rounding decimals. Our ICANN statement is I can round decimals to the nearest place value. So let's look at our first thing. What you're going to do is you have a 3-minute fluency sprint. You're just finding the midpoint. You're going to do this twice. You're going to do the front side. Then when the timer's done, you're going to flip it over to the back side. Okay, get your timer ready. Or get your paper ready. You have 3 minutes. Begin. Alright, you're going to turn it over and now begin the other side. Ready? Begin. You're at your 1 minute mark. Alright, and then put your midpoint fluency activity to the side. Okay, so I want you to think, what would these decimals be when I compare them? Remember, comparison is what we worked on yesterday, being greater than or less than. This one is less than. Our next one is equal to. 67 hundredths is the same as 67 hundredths. 4 and 7 hundredths, or 47 tenths. This one, just a reminder, is 47 tenths, 4.7. 83 hundredths, or 84 thousandths. Here, 83 hundredths is larger. This one has thousands. This one is my hundredths. Okay, how about this one? This one is larger. Why? Well, all these numbers are the same, so I'm looking at my tenths. 2 tenths is larger than 0 tenths, so 2 tenths is bigger. 24 and 9 thousandths, or 3 tenths. Well, 3 tenths is going to be bigger. Why? 3 tenths is 30, where this number is 24 and 9 thousandths. And we can easily see that 24 is less than 30. Okay, fluency, rename those units. If I have 1 and 5 tenths, that is 15 tenths. 2.5 is 25 tenths. 125 tenths. 175 tenths. 275 tenths. 243 tenths. And 423 tenths. Okay, fluency. Just to review, how do I write this number in expanded form? Well, I have 1, 2, 3 place values, so I need to have 3 place values in here. First is my tens, and I have 4 of them, so that's that 4 times 10. Then my next one is tenths, so I have my tenths times 8. My last one is my thousandths, and I have 3 of them, so that's times 3. Alright, application. Craig, Randy, Charlie, and Sam ran in a 5K, 5-kilometer race on Saturday. They were the top 4 finishers. Here are their race times. So we see it took Craig 25.9 minutes, Charlie was 32 and 28 hundredths, Randy was 32 and 2 tenths, and Sam was 25.85 minutes. Who won first, second, or third? And my last one is that 4th place. Well, when I'm running, remember, I want the fastest times on top. The slowest times are on the bottom. And when I'm working with minutes, fast means less. So I want the small numbers up top, the larger numbers on the bottom. So how can I do that? Well, I'm going to look at each individual one, and I see I have 32 and 32 that are the same, so they're my larger ones. So I know Randy and Charlie will be at the bottom, and I know that Sam has 25 and Craig has 25, so they will be at the top. So now let's look at Sam and Craig. They have the same 25 for the minutes, so now I need to look at that decimal spot. Which one is faster? Well, I see 9 tenths versus 8/10. 8/10 is smaller, so that means Sam is my faster runner. So my first place is Sam. Second place would be Craig. Why is that? Well, it's because they both had that 25, and 25 is faster than that 32 for Charlie and Randy. So now I need to go to Charlie and Randy. They both have 32, so now I need to go to the tenths. They have the same tenth, so now I need to go to that hundredth. Notice Randy doesn't have any hundredths, so that means he has 0 hundredths. I have 8 hundredths and 0 hundredths. 0 hundredths is smaller, so that means that Randy ran it slightly faster. And Charlie is my 4th place finisher. So we have Sam, Craig, Randy, Charlie. Let's check our answer. Sam is number 1, Craig is number 2, Charlie is 4, Randy is 5. What I like about this problem is that it was set up in its place value chart, so I can easily compare all the tenths, or all the tens. I can compare the tenths easily when I needed to. So it was really easy to just quickly look at that. Okay, now we're working on today's lesson, that decimal rounding. Our overall goal for this problem is round 155 to the nearest 10 and nearest 100. So what we're going to do is we're going to copy this chart below, this place value chart, hundreds, tens, ones, tenths, with 3 lines on it. My first one is write in unit form 155. Then record this on the place value chart. So unit form would be 100, five tens, and 5 ones. And then it says record. Record means to write or keep track of. So I'm going to write that up here. I have 100s, 5 tens, 5 ones. Let's check, see if our answer matches. And look at that, it does. So now let's go to our next one. Write an equivalent number on your place value chart using the largest possible number of tens. So I want to get as many tens as possible as I can. Well, in order to go from ones to tens, I need 5 of them. And I don't have 5 ones, so my ones will stay the same. In order to go from tens or hundreds to tens, I need 10 of these. 10 tens equals 100. 100 equals 10 tens. This will be 10 plus 5. This one is becoming that 10 tens. And 10 plus 5, as we know, is 15. So I have 15 tens and 5 ones. Okay, so now our last one is write an equivalent number on your place value chart using the largest possible number of ones. Well, I see that I have 5 ones. In order to go from tens to ones, I need to make these into groups of 10. So I'm going to multiply by 10. So this will be 150 ones. And 150 plus 5 is that 155. Okay, so let's use this information now to solve that problem of rounding to the nearest 10 and 100. I know it seems easy, but we need to do this in order to round with decimals. What decomposition of 155 helps you round this to the nearest number? Decomposition, what do you think that means? Well, that means breaking apart. Composition is from compose, is my base word. This D means not, so not compose, so not put together. So we're breaking it apart. Which one's going to help me round to the nearest 10? It's going to be this one. Well, why is that? Oops, we're not to our vertical number line yet. Well, remember, when I'm rounding, I look at the place value to the left. I'm sorry, the place value looking at the place value to the right and seeing is that 5 or larger. And if it is, I round up. So that's going to be the composition that helps me. Here I'm going to make it on a vertical number line. So what I have is my vertical number line up and down. And I'm going to just put that 155 right here, that 15 tens and 5 ones, and just to show it equals 155. And now what I need to do, well, I'm rounding to the nearest 10, so I'm going to put the larger 10 up top. That would be 16 tens, and the smaller one on the bottom, 15 tens. Is this number halfway between or larger? Yeah, the halfway mark is right here. Why? Well, because that 5 is in that halfway mark. That 5 is my midpoint. So to round up, it's going to be 160 or 16 tens. Okay, which one? Oops, there's... Which decomposition of 155 helps you round this to the nearest 100? And I just showed you the answer. It is this one. Why is that? Well, remember when I'm rounding, I'm looking for 5 or larger, and I go to the next place value over. So I'm starting in hundreds, because I want to round to hundreds, and I'm going to my tens. It is 5 or larger, so that's going to round up to my next 100. This number will increase by 1. Let's look at it on a vertical number line. I have my two numbers that it can round to, 100 and 200. My halfway point is where? My halfway point is 105 tens, or this 150. Where is my number that I have? Well, it's right here, 155. And I see that is above the midpoint, so therefore I'm going to round up, because it is above that midpoint. Okay, so now we're going to be doing this same principle with decimals. Round 1 57/100ths to the nearest tenth and the nearest whole. Nearest tenth, nearest whole. Remember, this nearest whole refers to my ones. Okay, write in unit form 1 and 57/100ths. So that would be 100th, 5 tenths, and 7/100ths. And I'm sorry, I made that mistake here. 1 ones. Okay, so it's going to look like this. That 1 ones, 5 tenths, 7/100ths. Now I want to write an equivalent expression using the largest possible number of tenths. So my tenths, I already have 5. Hundredths isn't changing. This one is going to be decomposed or broken down into tenths, so I'm trading. So that will be 10 plus 5 tenths, which is 15, and my hundredths stay the same. Now I want to write the largest possible hundredths. So I have 7/100ths already, and I'm decomposing, breaking this down, trading for tens. So that's going to be 150 when I decompose, when I break it down. Alright, we're going to use this chart now for this rounding. Which decomposition of 1 and 57/100ths helps you round to the nearest tenth? Well, I'm in tenths, so I look at the place value to the right. So here is my largest possible tenths, and I look at the place value to the right. Okay, I'm going to plot it on a vertical number line, and I'm just going to mark off what number could I round down to, what number could I round up to. I can round down to 15 tenths. Remember, when we round down, the number stays the same. I can round up to 16 tenths. When I round up, I add 1 to my number I'm rounding. And now I'm going to plot my midpoint. What is my midpoint? Well, it's halfway between 16 tenths and 15 tenths. So that's going to be 15 tenths and 5/100ths. And I can just rewrite in standard form like this. Now I can plot my number right here, 1 and 57/100ths. And I see my 1 and 15/700ths is larger than my midpoint. Since it's larger than my midpoint, I round up. So my answer, rounded to the nearest tenth, is 1.60, or 1 6/10. Okay, we're going to do the same thing, but now with my hundredths. Which unit, or which decomposition will help me round to the nearest whole? Well, here's my wholes, so I'm going to look to the next one over. So it's going to be that very first row. Let's try making our number line now without looking at our answer first. I'm going to start with my vertical number line. On the bottom, I'm going to put what? I'm going to put the number it can round down to. So it can round down to 1. At the top, I'm going to put the number it can round up to. It can round up to 2. And in the middle, I'm just going to put my halfway mark. It's going to be 1.5. That's halfway between these two. And now I'm going to mark off my ones. Well, my 1 is going to be right here, 1.57. Keep in mind, this is what we were practicing the other day with ordering. 1.57 is greater than my 1.5, my 1 5/10. If it's larger, that means I round up. So since this is larger than my midpoint, I round up to 2. So 1 57 hundredths rounded to the nearest whole is 2. Let's look at a slightly more organized, just because I had more time to make it, number line. So you see, we put the number we round up to, the number we round down to, and our midpoint. Okay, let's look at our next one. Strategically decompose 4 and 381 thousandths to the nearest 10, 1, 10th, and 100th. Record your work on the place value chart. So what I do is I start, I'm going to write this number in its regular unit form and just record it up here. Then each one I'm going to be looking at my leftmost place value and decomposing it, trading it for tens. So that will be 43 now. I'm going to do the same thing. I look at my leftmost place value and I decompose it. And I just repeating this process over and over. Decompose. Trade for tens. Okay? So now I can start rounding. So I'm just going to clear my page off. And now I'm ready to work. Round it to the nearest tens. I'm going to look right here because I'm in my tens, and I'll look to the right. 4 is less than, my halfway point is less than 5. So that means this is going to round to 0 tens. My next one, ones. I'm going to start in my ones, and I look to the next place value over. 3. 3 is less than 5, so I'm going to round down. So I just have 4 ones. My next one, I'm going to round to my tenths. So I'm going to start in my tenths, and I look to the next one over. 8. 8 is larger than 5, so I round up. So this 8 is going to make this become a 44. So that means I have 44 hundredths now. When I round up, that is 44 hundredths. Remember, everything else becomes zeros when I round up. 44 hundredths is equal to what? 4 and 4 tenths. My last one, I'm rounding to my hundredths. So I start in my hundredths. I look to the right. My next place value over, this is a 1, so I round down. And then that 1 becomes a 0. So 4.38, or 438 hundredths. Okay, let's look at this next one. I already filled our chart out for us. So now, we're going to be rounding 9.975, 9 and 975 fifths, or thousandths, to the nearest 10, 1, 10th, and 100. So for 10, I start in my 10 spot, which is a 0, and I look to the right. I'm going to be rounding up. So that means this becomes a 1, and these all become zeros. So I'm left with 1/10 and nothing else. Oops, and I didn't do that one right. So let's see. Oh, and I have it hidden. Alright, so I'm just going to write our answers for us down here. I'm left with 1/10, which equals 10. Right? So now let's look at our next one. Now I'm going to be rounding to my ones. So I start in my 1 spot, and I look to the right. It's a 9. Since it's a 9, I round up. So I'm going to have 10 ones. 10 ones equals what? Well, that also equals 10. So notice sometimes when I round to the nearest 10th or the nearest ones, I can end up with that same answer. Okay, let's look at our next one. I'm going to round to the nearest 10th. So I start in my 10th spot, where tenths is my largest place value. See, there's nothing over here. Starting in my 10th spot, and I look to the right. 7 is larger than my midway, so this means this rounds up. It becomes 100. I have 100 tenths, and what does that equal? Well, that equals 10.0, which equals 10. So again, I have that same thing. I can get the same answer by rounding up. It doesn't happen very often, but it is a scenario that is possible. My last one is hundredths. I start in my hundredths, where hundredths is my largest place value, and I look to the right. 5 is the midway point, so I'll round up. So this is going to be 998, 998 hundredths. What will that equal? I'm just going to abbreviate hundredths. Well, that's going to equal 9.98. 9 and 98 hundredths. Here are just some of the vertical number lines that I have for you to check. You can see they're all past the midway point. There's my midway point marked on them. Oops, this one I did poorly. Here's my numbers. And we see they're all past that midway point. Where's my mistake on this one? So what I should do, just to make it slightly more accurate, is this is my midway point, but it was also my actual number. So this is actually 2 plots right here. This is my midway point, and this was, oops, not that one. And this was also the number that I was checking to see if it was greater. If they are equal to each other, that means I'm going to round up. Okay, so remember our I can lesson statement was lesson 7. Forgot to change it, and it was on rounding decimals. And our I can statement was I can round decimals to the nearest place value. Okay, what you're going to do is you're going to complete your problem set. When your problem set is done, you may work on math games on the computer on our class website. Alright, good luck.